It's Guild Ball Tonight, your independent source for Guild Ball news, information, and conversation.
Episode 25 for November 17th, 2015. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Guild Ball Tonight podcast. Now, I am your host, Phil, but I will not be introducing my co-host, Bill, because I'm doing this part of the podcast by myself. I suppose I could introduce him, but he cannot respond back. We'll assume he's waving. The reason Bill is not here for this part of the podcast is that he is in the rest of it, but I am recording this quickly just to throw at the front of what is a podcast full of material which was recorded over the course of the St. Louis Open, which I have just returned from. That event went great. It was a phenomenal time. We talked to so many people who were already into Guild Ball, who were interested in Guild Ball, and who had just discovered Guild Ball, and almost everybody who came by, and many people came by, did want to certainly look into the game more, if not get into it right away. And so on top of sort of introducing the game to that very receptive and very good-hearted community there at the event, we also got to run a tournament for 20-some-odd of our closest new friends, and that went very well as well. We certainly all had a great time with it. So let's go ahead and just do a quick spot of news in case you haven't heard. Bonesaw and Tenderizer are going on pre-order today, and that's November 17th. And I will say that having had the opportunity to play against and watch many games featuring those two players in teaser mode over the weekend, they're both very exciting new additions to the game, and I am looking forward to getting an opportunity to paint them and perhaps even play them, although we all know how I feel about the Brewers and Morticians, them both being teams that I am just not particularly good at playing. So we, nonetheless, the miniatures are excellent, and if you do happen to be good at playing the Morticians and the Brewers, you will find they are both credible and desired additions to your lineup to give you something a little bit different to play with, and certainly something an interesting wrinkle on your current team selections. So let's go ahead and get started with a sort of a long form interview that Bill and I did with Matt and Jamie P, who had come over from the UK to attend the St. Louis Open event and to run the tournament and to hang out with us and have a good time. We had an opportunity to sit down towards the end of the day on Saturday and just have a little chat for the show. And I'm going to go ahead and send you off to that. After that, we'll hear the awards presentation from Sunday's St. Louis Open event. And then following that, I will be back for, I guess for some footnotes, right? So see you on the other side.
Actually, let's interview you.
Okay, good.
That'd be a good way.
Yeah,
That's a nice little flip on that.
Yeah.
So tell us about your War Machine weekend experience so far. How have you enjoyed it?
It has been nothing but fun.
I have played absolutely no War Machine.
Yeah,
that is There you go. That's unusual for War Machine Weekend.
That's true.
That's how we roll.
But to be fair, there's a lot of board gaming stuff that goes on. Like down the War Machine rooms, just outside, there's like a whole board gaming section.
It's really social, isn't it?
Yeah,
there's loads of games.
Where I was playing Forbidden Stars last night, there's just a whole ton of other board games going on.
I was playing like a werewolf-esque game.
Yeah.
But with like 30 odd people.
2 rooms and a boom.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what was going on.
All I know is I lost.
I'm pretty sure there's some Game of Thrones stuff going on downstairs as well.
What is that game?
Some kind of card game for Game of Thrones.
Oh, right.
Oh, the game, the Fantasy Flight game.
Yeah.
Is it good?
Apparently.
People
Okay.
like it. Yeah.
But someone was saying that you had to get like faction decks or something.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, potentially.
The families.
Anyway.
Guild Ball.
Guild Ball.
Did you play any?
How I've played both of you, and I have lost to both of you.
How did those games pan out?
Well,
Tell us about those games.
Tell us about those games.
Especially tell us about the bit where I was really good.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be a short story.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know,
the
the
question
ending was
is, were you really good, or did I put players into incredibly stupid places?
I like to, look on the positives of a situation.
That you forced me to put my
Exactly.
players
Yeah. You
so
had no
close to
choice.
the board edge
Yeah.
that Stave was able to barrel me off twice.
Is that bit that we came back from? Where did we go? Lunch halfway through.
Yeah,
didn't
we went to lunch. So we had started playing the game. I had positioned a couple of players at the end of the activation. We went to lunch. We came back. I sat down, immediately looked at the board, and said to Matt, "You're about to get 4 points." It had completely missed my my attention.
Yeah.
When we first started playing, when we were playing the game before, the gravity of my mistake there. So I definitely paid for it.
So the visual picture is that Jack and Salt was carrying the ball, were both 3 inches away from the edge of the board.
Excellent.
And Stave was there.
And you know that you were thinking about that all the way through lunch and just giggling to yourself and not saying anything.
I was kind of feeling pretty happy about
I'm sure you were,
I
yeah.
was looking forward to that turn.
You
when
look
I
pretty
got
happy
back.
at lunchtime, now I know why.
Now we know.
But the ending for that game was one that I really enjoyed, which was where Stave belly flopped you.
Yeah.
What's it called? What's the proper name for it?
No, I don't remember.
Ramming belly?
Speed.
Ramming
Speed.
belly.
Ramming speed is it, yeah.
Ramming speed. And he bumped Jack 2 inches, which put him within 4 of the side of the board, and then he just dropped a barrel.
grenade.
Yeah. Which was pretty cool.
Yeah, so you got
Enjoyed that.
and not only that, but you managed to get that big snapshot off with Mash.
Yeah, so I was chatting with Jamie after the game.
That's where we find out he cheated.
Going off to dinner.
It's not cheating when it's the developer.
'Cause when
he's rewriting rules.
Exactly. He can make the game. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
Apparently. Not allowed. So when I was playing against Jamie that morning, and we should talk about that game a little bit, because that was quite an unusual game, I really struggled to get Mash into the place where I wanted it to, but one of the things I did manage to achieve in that game against you was get Mash exactly where I wanted him, which was 8 inches away from your goal, and just sitting there waiting for the snapshots. And I don't know if you spotted, but Friday was actually also pushed quite far up to give me a 2-pronged threat on goal. But actually, once I got Mash in position, I dropped Friday back to kind of act around like the defensive midfield sort of area. And I think I actually said to you that it doesn't matter when you score. I've now got a highway to your goal. It's just bang bang, and I'm going to score.
And one of the things that the personnel that I had available, I had trouble moving him because I didn't have, at that point in the game, I didn't have access to Siren or Jack anywhere near him to take him out of contention. But I don't think. Let's see, you only scored the 1 goal of the whole game. I think the rest you got on takedowns.
I definitely scored 1 snapshot with him, and I think that was the only goal. Yeah.
And the threat was there still.
Yes.
Yeah, the threat was always there. It defined a lot of where I was taking the ball in other parts of the game. So,
and it kind of stopped you from scoring, which if you do to the fish is
well, it's game
over.
It's game over for the fish, especially against the Brewers. You've got no way of chewing through their layers.
Yeah, I had a couple of games with fish against Brewers so far this weekend, which have been mental exercises. We'll call it that.
do you love the fish now? They're your new favorite
I have
team?
always respected the fish.
No, you hate the fish.
No, it's a grudging respect for the fish. When I play, I really want 2 things. First of all, I want to be able to play a 2-dimensional game. I want to be able to get some goals and some takedowns. I don't want to be playing for one or the other. And that's very frustrating with the fish because I have to play for Goals primarily. I mean, there are ways to do takedowns with the fisherman, but it's so much effort that I would almost rather play a different team. The other thing I really like having in games is activation advantages. I like to be able to take out a player like early in the second turn and then have activation advantage at the end of the second turn, because that's where a lot of the game is kind of determined, is the end of the second turn. It's really important. And with the fisherman, there's almost no way to get that activation advantage to set up at the end of the second turn. So those two parts of sort of my game plan that I always have in my head when I'm playing a game, I'm looking for certain things to happen. And so with them, I'm just, a lot of times I'm making mistakes because the sort of the workflow, the roadmap that I have in my brain for a game is branched off into another direction. I'm just not as used to. I think if I were to sit down and say every other game of Guild Ball I play, I'm going to play Fisherman, I would eventually kind of figure them out.
Figure it out.
And they are really good. I mean, Shark is really good.
Are you guys seeing any in playtest, any fishermen using their pushes to get people off the edges of the field?
I've seen it done, yeah. I've seen it done.
With the Kraken.
Yeah, Kraken, Jack's good for it as well.
Jack.
Or, even Shark
What was
occasionally.
that guy you were telling me about who used Jack to just clear 4 models off the side of the board?
Maybe not 4, but Henry K, I think, is a local stop port. He actually helps us in the campaign weekend playtest.
Right.
But yeah, he's someone that's renowned for basically deploying his fishermen, depending on obviously where the ball is, on down one entire side of the table. So when people are coming towards him, because somebody that wants to take out is going to come after his players, he just takes the one that's most vulnerable, drags it in and sends it off the table behind him.
Yeah.
I'm almost thinking, Phil, that I mean, it's funny because Jamie and I were talking about, or I asked Jamie how to use Avarice and Greed. You're saying you need that.
Yeah, I think
extra
putting them
activation.
in. I think if I had brought Avarice and Greed with me, I could kind of pad that in.
Yeah.
And that's something I want to try with the Fisherman to see if I can just sort of prearrange that advantage.
So I'm almost thinking Avarice and Greed, Jack, Kraken. You already have Shark and
You
the
already have
Otter in
Shark,
there,
and then you
throw
throw
I would throw Siren.
Yeah. No, that may be a lineup that I like. I need to try that lineup definitely.
Because Shark and Siren can get you your goals, so you can do 2 scores and then look for your takeouts.
I mean, the other thing, as you were just saying before, or you alluded to anyway, is that it's quite a strong mental exercise with the fisherman. In that, as you explained it, it's sort of like a tree branch of thought as you're going through a game of Guild Ball. I quite like that analogy, actually, because you're constantly having to adapt to whatever things are happening. You might end up at a completely different branch. If you imagine going from sort of the trunk toward the leaves, you might end up at a completely different location on the tree than when you thought you were going to at the start of the turn. With the fisherman sort of not playing as strong for takeouts, you're kind of closing off this entire right-hand side, I suppose, if you want to label this side takeouts. But as you were saying, the more you play them, the more you'll discover that there's a lot more routes to that victory than you thought there were in the first place. But it will take time to figure those steps out as the more you play them.
Definitely. So then Jamie and Bill played a game, which was a lot of fun to watch.
Equally the most frustrating and fantastic game I've played of this weekend.
Thank you. You can say that this time it's recording.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine. No, it was great. It was a very challenging game. Very good. So both of us, we missed a lot. The turn one ended up with me sort of more severely on the back foot, but both of us missed a lot of dice rolls. I think between the two of us, we rolled a single 4+ in the first turn, which included a Puppet Master onto Hemlock, which rolled 1-1-1-2. Nice. And some other things as well. I think you threw in a
Blackheart charge attack that rolled.
That wasn't the first turn, though. I don't think. No, because you wouldn't get a charge for the first turn. Yeah. That was the first activation of the second turn, I think.
No, you're right. You can't use Stay Back because she didn't. Getter missed all of her chain grabs turn one.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Yeah,
missed all of her chain grabs.
Yeah. So then the first activation of the second turn, fully loaded Blackheart comes in. And then leaves Obulus on 3 boxes. It's like, that's unfortunate for Bill severely, but also in my favour. I spend the next 3 turns double healing Obulus as Bill is continuously trying to take out Obulus, and again puts him down on 3 boxes the following turn. It's just an absolute scramble for any points we can get. I managed to scuff a goal with Bonesaw,
who I love.
Good.
I love
Bonesaw is a great player.
He's cool. I like
He's
him
fun to play with.
And then it kind of ended up being a scramble. A couple of different pieces happened. You got a goal as well?
Got a goal with Mist.
Yeah. And then the game was just a scramble the whole way through. I thought I pulled off a really nice manoeuvre because I really wanted to get Dirge to score the goal. I haven't scored a goal with Dirge since the S1 playtest. I was like, Dirge got the ball. This is happening. This is absolutely happening. I spent 3 turns. That's the 3 activations trying to free him up. And we made this I thought was quite a nice play with Gast, who moved into melee with Mist, who was engaging Dirge.
Yep.
And I knocked down Mist. I then spiked and got a unmasking, which I was hoping to get. Which pushed Mist a little bit away, pushed Dirge away from Mist, and then additionally pushed Bonesaw, who was close nearby, who blocked off Hemlock, who was the other threatening model to Dirge. Yep. And I was like, cool, that means Hemlock can get over there and tackle the ball. I was really smug about that until I realised that Hemlock could just Noxious Blast Dirge to death because I'd done the 3 damage with the unmasking in the first place, which is exactly what happened, and then it was like a cartoon of weird things that happened until it eventually ended with a goal from...
Well, and then, of course, when Dirge dies, the ball actually pops out behind my goal line in the back corner.
Oh, right.
So now...
That's unusual.
It took Obulus an entire Shadow-like plus move, or Shadow-like plus sprint, plus attack with dodge, plus Puppet Master to get around to actually
get
be.
it.
And at that point, Jamie looks and goes, "You measure," because I don't think I'm in. Yeah. And I measured, and he was just in, and he went, "Okay, I'm good."
All the widgets came out and stuff like that. All 8 influence was required. And I needed to I was almost sat like anything. I would the last attack for the double dodge I needed. I was like, if I had the influence, I'd confidence this because I really need this to go off. But I'm just going to have to trust it.
So how far did he actually move?
So
8 influence.
He shadow liked for 2, then he sprinted for 6. So he moved.
But keep in mind that was in a big. That was 6, but it was in a big loop.
It was in a big because you had to go around Bonesaw. I think.
Yeah.
You had to go around Bonesaw to engage Blackheart. He then did 2 attacks which just gained him momentum. He did a 1-inch dodge but didn't move anywhere.
Right.
He then did a 3rd attack which made him a 2-inch dodge, so he's now moved 10 inches.
Right.
Then Puppet Mastered himself to move 4 more for 14 when he was just within range of the goal.
Wow.
It was a very squiggly movement he had to do.
So I think when
and then a shot over Gutter's head, who's standing there.
Yes, so I only rolled 2 dice even with a bonus time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, and one of the things that needs to be said though is that these games have been only 1 or 2 of what do we had 10 and 11 games going all day.
So we've had 11 pitches running all day today, like all day.
Yeah, and that's
6 or 7 yesterday, didn't we?
Yes, 7 pitches at most yesterday.
Yeah, so we've got 20 or more people sitting down playing, and then there's never really been a point where there haven't been another half dozen to a dozen people standing and watching. I mean, it's
standing around, coming in for demos.
Yes, because let's give those guys a shout out. Jason and James have been legendary today and yesterday, just running demos consistently. Like they even
numbers of demos.
They were playing a game yesterday, which they just quit halfway through, and they went, "You want a demo?" And they just quit their game and went and did demos each. They've been fantastic.
Really
no, real credit to the pundits, definitely. Yeah, and so the interest in the game here from the War Machine Weekend crowd has been really exciting. I think that there's probably been 75 people who've drifted in and out, if not more.
Yeah,
and
do you think that many?
To us.
Yes,
I'd probably say that.
I would say that.
Quite a lot, including people that've been demoed as well and just come in to have a look.
Yep.
Yeah. And we also think we're going to... There's been a few people that turned up and they're just like, I'd really love to play on Sunday, but I haven't got a painted team. So me and Matt are both lending out teams to players. So it looks like we're going to get really close to that 32.
So we know who's going to win Best Painted tomorrow.
I do have to say, that, I think, has made a couple of these guys... I know for a fact has made a couple of these guys, I mean, just over the top excited. There was a guy sitting down, when you stepped away from our game, there was a guy sitting down with me, and he kind of leans over, he goes, I get to play them tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Huh? He goes, I get to play that team tomorrow. Jamie's loaning me his team. Isn't that cool? I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, he actually played him earlier today, and he was playing with paper dolls. He's like really, really into the game, but he just hasn't had a chance to buy the models yet. He's just been one of these people that's been unfortunately unable to get hold of the miniatures because we haven't been able to get to every store in the USA yet. But he's going to buy a team tomorrow, and so I said, well, if you want to play, look, you quite clearly love the game. I'm happy to lend you my Morticians and play with him. So he was over the moon at it. I couldn't give him Bonesaw, of course, not tournament legal yet, but give him the rest of it.
We should talk a bit about Bonesaw, shouldn't we?
Sure,
we should.
What does he do?
Well, you guys tell us. What do you think of Bonesaw?
I think he's really interesting. I like the way that he, when we first saw that he was going to have the 50mm base, the very first thought that passed through my head was, how is he going to move through the opposition? So because it would be so easy to sort of block him off. I mean, on the other hand, he's a great defensive piece because of his base size. But how is this player going to to move into and through the opposition. And, I should have known that would be accounted for. But he does have he actually has a couple of tools for doing that. And then he's got the one character play, the acrobatic entrance or something like that.
So Unexpected Arrival.
Arrival.
Which is basically a copy. It's a character play version of Jack's heroic play.
Yeah.
Which is all models within 3 inches of him suffer a 4-inch push directly away.
Right, so he can just blow people out of the way.
Yep.
And then he also has his heroic play, which essentially just lets him move over bases.
Yep. During an advance.
Right. So, visually, in your mind's eye, you can definitely see this insanely acrobatic player moving across the field, and it's a really neat idea. Plus, you give him Reanimate, which is, just gives him that little bit of durability, and then he's got he also has the cool, after he's activated, his defense goes up ability.
Does he feel like a mortician?
Well, I think the Reanimate makes him feel like a mortician. I think that his ability to mess with you as a defender because of his base size influencing your ability to move, charge, those sort of things. So it has a control element to his base size. And
Unexpected Arrival, I guess.
Unexpected Arrival is also because he can, if he's not trying to score, he can now start to sort of dictate positions, and he can blow apart. A team like Brewers or Butchers that's going to want to start ganging up, he can walk in and blow that formation apart.
I would say, yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that you're missing, we didn't see it in our game, my game with Jamie, but he's also internally balanced against the new goaltender abilities. Right? He has Football Dervish, which lets him take a shot on the goal after as triggering an attack. So I was trying to walk actually one of the new guys through that, where he was looking at me and saying, "But I don't understand sort of some of these plays." I said, "Okay, you got to look at this. You're not looking at being all the way down the field alone. Think about it as being all the way down the field, and they've parked. Your opponent has parked a goaltender 4 inches from the goal. Well, your first attack, your charge attack, moves that goaltender an inch away, so that suddenly you can make your snapshot easier. Your next attack, Football Dervishes, and your snapshot goes off effectively for free, and now you're not at the negative because you've just moved.
Because you moved them away.
So and that internally balances. That's also, to me, very mortician-like from a screw with your opponent and sort of use what they're doing against them. Because that's what morticians are doing, right? Between Puppet Master and everything else, where you're using the other people. Well, now go ahead and park your goaltender down there because I'm coming down with Bonesaw and thank you, I'm going to score off of you.
Interesting point. I've played, I think, 3 games so far this weekend with Bonesaw, and I haven't actually, even though it's been there the whole time, I haven't actually used his heroic play once. Obviously, situationally, it'll be very useful in certain times, but I haven't needed to use it.
How many goals have you scored with him, though? He's a goal machine.
A number.
Yeah.
So
2 a game?
One today. He scored 2 in a game. He scored 1 in a game with you, or was it 2?
1 in the game with me.
1 in a game with you. He scored 2 in another game. He's at least 4, possibly 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But do you keep him on the flank typically, like you did in our game?
It's like an inside channel.
Not necessarily. Yeah. So, with against Matt in our game, he played very much up the centre. We did the kickoff, and then when Stave was moving around with the ball later on, early, he was using the ball to move Stave up the field.
Yep.
And he dropped it behind Stave. But even though Bonesaw couldn't get to it immediately, what he did was charge Stave. He wrapped his double dodge on the 4th column twice, got around Stave, got the ball, and had a goal. So most of the time he is missed, kind of for me, operates on the far flank. So if you kind of divide the table into sort of 5 sections, the real centrepiece, and then sort of 2 versions of the flanks. And Mist is right near the board edge for me a lot of the time. Bonesaw's sort of that step a bit more inside, so we can be on the far side.
So we should educate the world as to football vernacular.
Go for it.
So those 5 channels, right? The centre one is a centre.
Yeah.
The outside ones, they're the flanks or the wings.
Yep.
Yeah. These ones just next to the centre, they're the channels.
Yes. Okay.
So when you hear a commentator saying they're running into the channel, it means they're running just into the. They're not in the centre. They're running down the side, but they're not hugging the touchline.
So I would say in that case that Bonesaw operates in the channel.
He's a channel
much
player.
more
And
more
to
than
keep
in
with
the
the theme of the weekend so far, in America, we're talking about soccer.
Soccer.
But yeah, so he's a bit more centrally active, but he can flit in between those two nearby. So sometimes he's right far on the side if there's a piece of fast ground like there was in our game. He can operate on the side quite happily, and that big base means he can sort of benefit from that fast ground a bit easier. He doesn't have to jink to the side as much to get that advantage.
Thank you for reminding me about that. That's why Jamie won, because he didn't tell me it was fast ground. He tried to.
What,
it
a
was
really
after we
slippery-looking
started,
piece of mud, right?
To me, it looks like wet, boggy piece of mud. I figured slow. Jamie's like, no, I move faster there. And I went, oh, well, okay. Well, I might as well walk away now.
Oh, the soul.
I will add that was the turn before I scored, not the same turn.
All right, so let's talk about Mash then. What we kind of already intimated that he is great at snapshots. So why is he great at snapshots?
Largely because when he's within a distance of the enemy goal, so it's 8 inches, he actually can take a snapshot for -1 MP cost. So he's so it makes a huge difference.
Right.
The fact that he has super shot. I've seen it a few times this weekend, and you have your kind of dump activation where you don't necessarily want to do anything, you just want to see what the opponent's doing or force them to activate a model before you then react to it. Right. It's a really nice setup. If he's 8 inches away, for him to put super shot up and just sit there, and then he is now a real goal threat.
He has that great toolkit because he has the ability to do the 1 MP snapshot. He can sit there with super shot up, and then he's got the unpredictable movement. So if somebody does try to chase him down, it forces them to pick a certain player to chase him down and try to run him out of that space, and he can just get closer to the goal in most cases. Yeah.
I absolutely feel like Mash dictates choices within my Brewers team.
How do you mean?
So I played a great game. Mash was in the game. He was completely ineffective because Spigot wasn't there to speed him up, and nobody was there to grab the ball to get to him on the snapshot. There was no Friday. So it ended up being a brawl match, and he's
no good enough.
Didn't do very good.
Well, he's no good. He's just not suited for that.
And he couldn't get around the brawl fast enough.
I think you're actually exposing another interesting point, or maybe weakness of Mash, is that he's not very good as... You can sort of add Mist, or you can add Bonesaw, or you can add Flint as a lone striker to a lot of teams. Mash needs someone else
a strike partner
that's good at football.
Yeah.
He needs... can't think of the right term for it, but he needs some service for the ball. The ball needs to get to Mash.
Yeah.
Mash can't do.
But that's why I kind of ran Friday and Mash forward together to have that two-pronged threat. Right. And then if you took Mash out, that's great. Then I've got Friday. But actually, once Mash was there, and our game was kind of circumstantial. I'd managed to force you completely out of the centre, and you were then kind of sitting on the flanks. So Mash could actually dominate the space, but he's quite fragile. If you put a concerted effort into it, he can take it down.
Yeah. I think he makes a great change to the Brewers. It moves the Brewers further onto that footballing side of the game.
It gives them a different gameplay, which is fun. Yeah.
It's hard to know who to drop to take him, though. And I haven't quite hit the magic sauce. I know who not to drop to take him.
Who would that be, Matt?
Well, I definitely recommend not dropping Stave from the Brewers ever. He's your opener, right?
Yeah.
Stave he is extremely good at what he does. And he might be a momentum vending machine in many ways, but just what he brings to the Brewers is
it's very much... I mean, I've even said it before. I had a conversation with Joel Henry? Joel Henry, yes. Yeah. And I said, look, it's cool if you want to post this conversation onto the forums, that's fine. And the question was, why were certain heavy players not touched in the errata? And one of them was...
Good question.
Well, and the way I answered that was saying that those players all, in our opinion, have... other things they bring to the game other than the fact it's just their defence and their resilience. So in the case of Kraken, it's the ability to have the momentous knockdown on the one on a reach.
Best
on a 2-inch
target in the game.
Yep. And Unleash the Kraken is a nice ability. It doesn't come off all the time, but it's definitely there.
It was huge for me earlier.
The harpoon to drag players into him. So often, Kraken can harpoon a player in, if he's got the influence to do it, make an attack which generates some of the harpoons, and they'll bring someone else in. He's good at sucking players in. Stave, lob barrel. He's bringing the lob barrel to the table, which is his offset for the fact that he has that def 2 and no armor. So that not all these heavy players are just meant to be that that
can
complete
I
attack.
pay you to beef up, just writing a errata to beef up Kraken and Stave?
They don't need to.
I know they don't need it, but I so want to hear some people complain about them instead of the complaints.
I would give someone.
I have been abused by Stave all week. I have played so many games against Brewers.
There's a lot of brewers. There's a lot of brewers. I would going back to Kraken, right? I would give someone a lot of favour to borrow Kraken into the Butcher's team. Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's definitely a phrase that you should remember for future things. By the way.
Yeah, I think Mash and Bonesaw are fantastic. So, so wait, because I can ask this, and then they won't answer.
Okay, good.
So I could have sworn I heard the phrase "fillet" used
There was
at
definitely.
some point this weekend.
Well, we're in America, and interestingly, we had a conversation about what is a cut of fish and what is a cut of beef. And
So
a
you
fillet
call- right.
is a cut of fish, apparently.
Fillet.
Yeah. Whereas fillet is a cut of meat.
So which one were you playing?
So I was playing chisel. Or chillet, as I like to call it. Yeah.
Chillette.
So I brought the fillet, current version of the fillet playtest version.
And see, and this is where Phil edits in like static or something.
Right.
Locks him just as like his heart pump.
It's okay, I'm here.
Yeah, Jamie's here to chaperone
Jamie's
me.
the control.
Yeah.
People have already figured this out already. We're going to go to lunch times and they just stop asking me questions. Just let's talk to Matt a bit more. Someone just take Jamie over there
Exactly.
so we can talk to Matt some more.
What was the feedback? Because you were playing the playtest stuff, right?
Yeah, so I played Jason, who's one of the pundits, and he was smacking me upside the head all game. Morticians, right? So doing what morticians do all the time. Obulus roaming around, a cabillion-inch threat. It doesn't matter where you put the ball. I'm just going to get it and score. And I'm like, oh dear God, how am I going to do anything with this? And I discovered an immense love, and it's an ongoing love affair with Meathook. She is phenomenal, and that being said, I have tried to make her work twice against the Brewers, and she doesn't work against the Brewers, so I'm kind of needing to swap her out. But the thing that I think a lot of people overlook with Meathook is the Sanguine Pool.
Yeah.
And her being able to go in, and if you can trigger a scything blow off of a low def model and hit 2 or 3 other models and the model that you're targeting, and then suddenly drop Sanguine Pool, and they're all -4 move, it's absolutely huge. So Jason was kind of, Obulus was roaming over here. The rest of the goon squad were in the middle because they're like kind of knees up on the same guy over and over. So Meathook got in the middle, triggered a scything blow, got all of them, locked them down, and then Jay's like, I'm like what? -4 move? I'm like, So he's like, okay, I don't really know what to do. All right, I'll do this. Blah blah blah. I went, I think I've won at this point in time, and he went, how? So, Fillet has an ability. Her legendary play
Steady.
is
Really cool.
very linked with the bleed effect.
Okay.
And it enabled me to dish out an amount of damage to some models that were already chipped down quite low.
Wow.
So basically, in one activation, Fillet took out 2 models and then dodged out and scored a goal. So it was an 8-point swing.
You got 8 points in one activation.
In one
Which is
activation.
very, very cool.
And Jay's face was great. He just sort of went, I was beating you really hard and now I've just lost.
Yeah.
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 And
And that's
then
Butcher.
you paid us to steal Jamie's notes so we can't get them all the way back to the UK.
Yeah. No, the thing, I mean, we were chatting over dinner last night, weren't we? And she feels like a butcher, but she doesn't feel like Ox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
different player.
Yeah.
Totally
And I was having a chat with DC earlier, having a chat with him about trying to maintain a design space, and we were kind of, having a bit of a designer loving chat about stuff, and what I was trying to explain was this concept that I know what the nucleus of a butcher's team is, and I know that there's an outer boundary beyond which you start to stray into the other teams. What I don't know is the delta between the nucleus and what the outer boundary is. And the closer you get to the outer boundary, the more you overlap potentially with other teams in terms of flavour. And so you've got Ox right in the middle, but now I think Filet has just opened that nucleus up, and what we're doing is expanding that feeling out in terms of the design space of what it means to be a butcher.
Right.
It's pretty exciting. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, she moves kind of the point in the turn at which butcher damage is happening, I think. And so it's still, like, I feel like they both are going to do the same damage. It's just that she kind of moves it into another part of the turn, and then she supports, because she's reasonably quick, so she supports a little bit quicker butcher team as well. So
the thing
in addition to her selection choices already being a little bit quicker than Ox's selection choices.
The thing I like about her a lot is it ties in with this whole core, design goal of creating a game where people will need to think beyond just the turn that they're working on. Mm-hmm. And what she is able to do is leave a lasting impression on the turn that she's currently in that lasts into the following turn. And so the timing of her activation is quite important.
Critical,
and she's actually quite. Can you think of another captain that you would want to activate later in the turn than Filet?
So occasionally, obviously this is a funny one for his activation timing, because you want to often get him first. You kind of want him having like your first or second activation, because if you've gone second, the opponent has already moved a model, which means one is vulnerable for Puppet Master. The most vulnerable model for Puppet Master is something that's already activated,
right?
Because it can't defend itself,
right?
Or it can't defend itself as much. But then again, his legendary play is something that is most effective mid or late in the turn. So sometimes I've now forced myself to activate Gast first, because I've made him...
He's an easy first activation.
He's a very easy first activation, because you're going to knock multiple models down with your 2-inch melee zone, often models that can't retaliate. You're getting some nice MPs on the board, and it means that when you get yourself into that mindset, you can make Obulus activate sort of a bit later in the turn, and if he's on your second activation, you've got some more options on the table. So there's a question there with Obulus, that kind of his legendary play doesn't often synergize with when you really want to activate him.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of too many others. I don't
know. Ox, you want to go really early.
Yeah, Ballista's the same.
You want to go early.
You want to do knockdowns before they can generate momentum.
Yep.
Well, and he wants to put up his play, so everybody else gets momentum.
Shark is the same, because legendary plays are most effective generally when used early in the turn.
Yep.
So Shark is the same as that.
Hooper...
Tapper.
Tapper slightly unusual because that's just a heroic.
Yeah, so he's someone that can go any time.
He can go whenever he needs to go somewhere.
He's so self-contained, though.
Weirdly, although I saw a couple of guys who actually used Old Jakes to put influence on other models.
That's not too weird.
Yeah, I thought it was quite cool. A lot of people, the lazy option is just to stick it all on him.
The Tapper, it depends on if you want Commanding Aura or not. If you don't need Commanding Aura as much, you don't have to make him go first. But often, if you want to go and have a big, heavy melee turn, you want to get Commanding Aura, you often go quick.
So the one thing I do, and it's funny you mention that, Old Jakes is great. I will throw 2 influence out on Friday and sit around there so she doesn't look like a threat.
Yeah.
If I know I can get Tapper close by and I don't need him to be a beater.
Yeah.
And then he'll kind of move up mid-turn when the balls are moving around, give her full 4, and all of a sudden, immediately my opponent will go,
yeah. I quite like that because that's like a disguised kind of reveal, isn't it?
Tapper's main job in the Brewers right now is to go and pick 1 or 2 models, knock them both down, and put Commanding Aura up and go, Hooper, get over here.
Yeah, that, do it.
Yeah, this, kill, go.
But going back to Filet, that's one of the things I'm quite excited about her is she is really a late activation model, which I quite like because it's certainly the way that I've played her so far.
Well, put it this way, but there's something that
in terms of legendary play,
the first thing we often say about fillet, because I can't say that other word.
Filet.
Sure, I'll say fillet.
But fillet is like a cut of fish.
Cool. So I'm Northern. I'm Northern. I can't speak proper English. My grammar's all wrong anyway. So something we do say about Philip quite a lot is she synergizes with bleed. We've said this a number of times anyway, so we may as well talk about that.
That's no secret.
No, but generally models that specialise in putting conditions out or making use of conditions are often better off activating later on anyway, because the later on in the turn you put conditions out, the less chance there is for the opponent to remove them,
Right.
and then you get their effect.
And or the more expensive it is, because if you're putting
Absolutely.
the lead onto models that are already activated, it's a 2 momentum
And
swing.
so the further into the turn you get, the more precious those momentum points are, because you're generating fewer, and you're kind of trying to work out who's going to go first next turn.
Right. No, that's the key to it. Is early in the turn, it's still quite fuzzy as to who's going to end up winning the momentum race. Whereas
Exactly.
third or fourth activation in, now you're starting to go, well, okay, I get a sense that what the concrete numbers are going to be.
Absolutely.
I've noticed one thing that you do, which I've started to copy, which is you recognise when you're going to win the momentum or not.
Yes.
And when you're not, you use every single momentum. You give up all hope of winning the momentum race. You just use it because you're like, do you know what? You're 2 or 3 ahead of me. Sod it. I am going to use.
Yeah, I'm going to be better off healing these players right now.
I get more bang for
Jamie
buck
heals
on that.
more than any player I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That's probably something we
But
should
he
all
only
know.
does it. He only does it when he's behind on momentum.
right.
That's definitely a real.
Unless there's healing, I absolutely have to do.
Sure.
Yeah, I was going to say that was going to be.
But
my
there's a
question
real
to you, 'cause
trigger
I was
there.
watching that very closely, and there was points in the game when I got very nervous, and
Right.
I'm looking at sitting on 1 or 2 momentum. I'm like, crap, he's up 5-6. I'm strategizing everything I'm going to do to go second, and I turn around, activation 2 activations later, and Jamie's at 1 momentum, and I sort of went, what? Oh shit. Okay.
Because
Obulus is back up at 7.
Yes.
I got to get
Well,
back
healing
in.
is huge, right? It's huge.
Yeah, because I mean, losing Obelisk for Morticians is like
Yeah.
it's critical that he doesn't get killed. So winning first activation is secondary to keeping Obelisk alive. He's that important to the Morticians. And so I was literally, I think it was 3 turns in a row. I did the double heal on him twice. He had to stay operational.
So,
That's 3 MP a go.
Yeah,
Right.
but it was worth
yeah,
it.
9 momentum.
Yeah.
On
But
healing.
he stayed in and they won the game. So,
There you go.
yeah.
So,
Eyes on the prize.
you said fillet?
Filet.
Fillet.
Depends of which one of us you're talking to.
Fillet. So,
Sophisticated.
fillet.
Northern.
That's fair. I get that. I get. See, in here it's northern or southern. Sophisticated or southern.
It's
So,
the other.
Oh, right. Oh. Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Because the
There you go.
northeast is sort of the posh.
That's
and
true.
the south
It is.
the-
it is.
all right.
Look, northeast is New
Okay.
England.
So I like to think Kingdom Wildlings.
Sure.
Wow.
I'll never show my face in Liverpool again.
So fillet sort of opens up the center of the team. And
Yeah.
you've talked in the past about smoke changing the way that, sort of shifting the way that
Right.
alchemists play.
I'll agree with you about the vernacular, and I will adjust slightly.
Okay.
So, what's important about every new captain is that they feel different than the existing captains. So, it's not necessarily we are shifting the way, like with Smoke, but what we are doing is introducing another way that feels like an alchemist to play. It's probably a more pernickety way of kind of
That's
answering
fair.
the question.
Wait, and I saw one. The pundits have one of the other or 2 of the other captains available.
Yeah.
and they both actually, to me, look similar
Yeah.
to current playstyles. Different enough, it's similar to Filet, where it's different enough,
Yeah.
and it shifts the playstyle. But it's now the ones we haven't seen. Do any of those captains make as much of a change as you expect Smoke to?
Who else we got? I think Scalpel's
so
a
can
massive delta.
Depends. What do you mean by change? Change in playstyle? Change in how the captain itself operates? Can you?
So, well, all the captains are going to operate different, right?
Yes.
I mean, we're expecting that.
Yes.
But changing the play style of the team,
Sure. Okay.
right? I mean, and again, with the idea that Smoke sort of shifts or changes or adjusts that play style where it feels feels different from the current captain.
Yeah.
And you get to play off the other side of the alchemist team.
So I think you're right. I think Scalpel's going to be one that gives you a different way to play the Morticians. Because I mean, they're so centrally played around how you can play Obelisk, which is in a lot of different ways right now, to be fair. But when you take Obelisk, that's why Obelisk can't be killed. Because when you take Obelisk out of that Mortician team, their efficiency just goes down a huge way. So you've got to. A big question I get asked by a lot of Mortician fans is how do you replace Obelisk? Because he's such a big thing in the Morticians. They rely on him so much, and I would, having played Scalpel a number of times, I'd say that she's definitely in contention for somebody that you could legitimately replace Obulus. Not replace, but you could. She's definitely a legitimate alternate captain.
I am really not looking forward to playing against her.
And she messes with your team in a whole new way.
Do you know the worst thing, right, is Jason sitting there. Every time I complain about the Morticians, he's like, will you design them?
Yeah. Well, the thing is...
Technically, that's not true. There's a team behind it, but I get your point.
It might be my fault that I said that first and he just picked up on it when Jamie, that's genius.
Kind of annoying.
You know that you shouldn't have admitted that, right?
And I think Scalpel falls in the same category. So we've got the Morticians dialed down.
Yeah.
What about Esther's?
I'm really looking forward to Esther's. I gotta tell you.
I just want that model.
Yeah,
it's interesting actually because she. Yeah, okay.
I like Esther's because she.
So let's define Tapper for a second.
Right?
Let's define Tapper for a second. So Tapper is kind of like a multitude of different things for the team. He can support with commanding aura, he can support with influence and stuff, but he's also a very singularly powerful model in melee. Now, in that respect, looking at just those three things, Esther's isn't actually that much different, but she accomplishes them in different ways. She does still support the team. She does still have a good melee.
I think she goes a little bit further.
Capacity.
Supporting the team.
Okay, fine.
Do you think? I mean, Tapper's kind of...
Well, she supports the team in a different way, because where...
Oh, no, for sure. But how does Tapper currently support the team? How does he support the team? Other than his knockdown.
That was like the hard breaks right there.
Do you know what I'm doing here right now? I'm the Sith, right? Luring the Jedi across.
You're getting back at him.
I'm just going to take a breath.
For all those conversations, he's shut down this weekend.
Right, so just for the record... She supports the team. Just for the guy whose room that we're borrowing, I'm stealing some whiskey, but I'm going to leave $10. So it's not technically theft. I have no idea who you are. Jesus, it's a 30-year-old. I have a little nip.
It's alright, we'll wait for you. It's no problem. That's why you steal some whiskey.
$10. There you go. Thank you. Wherever you are.
It's cool. It gave me time to recompose myself.
Yeah.
Right, and we're back in the room. So you were just about to reveal what Esther's
No, I
did.
was definitely not. I was definitely not. She supports the team in a different way.
Right.
She definitely projects threat range.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
Absolutely. She definitely projects threat range up the table a considerable more distance than Tapper does. And you can read into that what you will.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, whereas Tapper has a very finite distance, you know, if you're not moving him with Spigot, he has a very finite distance, he can project threat range up the table, unless you're doing other funny things with the football and stuff. Whereas Esther's can project her damage up the table further than that.
Who else we got? Corsair? He still feels like a fish.
Yeah, he does.
Right?
So,
but he's not Shark. And
he's
that's
definitely
really
not
obvious.
Shark.
And he takes them in a really different way. So, you know, I think, Loxham, Jamie, myself, we've kind of had multiple Skype meetings and face-to-faces and gone through the captains.
Yep.
And we've harangued each other in different ways at different times about getting the balance right, getting the flavour right, making sure that the design space is maintained for that team. And it's gone through some pretty tough conversations, actually. There's a couple that were kind of a little bit fruity at points, but largely because I hadn't read the playtest document for a couple of weeks, and these guys were a long way down the track thinking that they were done, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like this. And they're like, no, it's locked in. I'm like, no, it's not.
You see these great hairs?
I'm like, I'm going to play the diva card if I need to. But to be fair to those guys, the minute I kind of sort of said, well, let's just have a chat, these are my concerns. Okay, I get that, and then we kind of work together and make sure we come up with a crazy idea and then make it work. And now suddenly the captains have kind of gone from this to this.
So
did
you de-nerf? Did you buff up the as yet unnamed Union captain?
He or she does not need buffing up at all. Yeah,
I'm telling you, I'm fishing to make my English friends and British friends more pissed off.
So what season 2 captains we've named at this point? We've named Philip. We've named Corsair.
I'm drinking stolen whiskey. I have no idea who.
Okay,
was named.
we've named.
Did you name the
I paid $10. It's not stealing.
The Mason's cap?
Well, yeah. So it was, So
Do you know who Mason's is?
we named
Moses Hammer.
Yeah, because that's been out on a that's been out on a Steamforge news.
That was on Steamforge.
Yeah.
So
I just couldn't remember if they were calling him Hammer.
So we've named Smoke.
Right.
Pin Vices had the render.
So
Pin Vice,
I think the Union one is the only one we haven't named yet.
I'm really excited.
I'll leave that one up to you, Matt. I'll let you say this one if you want to.
I'm not going to say
it's
it.
all on you.
I'm going to be a tease because I think deep down everyone wants to be teased.
So what if we?
And in this case, I actually agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
I
so.
actually agree with
We'll
you.
maintain the mystery.
Well-
Now, what about Pinvice? What does Pinvice do to the engineers? That's
Wow.
So what is it that Matt's showing you? Sorry.
wow. Don't worry about it, Jamie.
Yeah.
No. I know what you're seeing. I'm just saying for people that can't see this.
That is.
What is this?
That is nice.
Oh, see, this is when I got this crap from Matt last time. I'm on Skype with Matt. First interview I did with him, and he's like, "Oh, check this out! Oh, check this out!"
Yeah.
As soon as I start talking, he's like, "You got to edit that out."
Yep.
I was like, "Matt, I don't edit." He goes, "Well, I can't show you anything else. Just don't say anything about the other stuff."
So that's fine. We can talk about this. So we have.
So that was the first reaction to the Masons captain.
Yes, there's a teaser that we just showed to Bill and Phil. That's a render.
Fantastic.
A render of Hammer.
He's nice, right?
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is something else.
I've got a suggested
And
teaser.
takes the art in a very different way.
So I was going to explain why the Union are only getting 3 models in season 2.
Go for it.
So every team is getting at least a veteran player,
Yeah.
a captain,
Yeah.
a mascot, and an additional player.
Yeah.
Every team. Is.
Every team,
Bar the Union.
bar the
No,
Union.
no.
And the Alchemist.
Bar the
And
Union.
engineers.
So the engineers get compound as well. So the engineers and alchemists technically have 5.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why the Union only have 3 models. It's because their captain is also their veteran.
See, that's what I was fishing for. I was going to say every team is getting those 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just that one of them
All right, I'm
doubled up.
with you.
Yeah, they double dipped.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're still getting a captain and a veteran. It's just
Yeah.
they're the same person.
Same person.
Yeah, that's good
So
stuff.
an existing. Let's just clarify that. An existing player will be promoted to the level of captain.
Who could that be?
I don't know.
Come on, you know me.
I know exactly who it is. Because it doesn't
If you
matter
don't know
who
me
wins,
well enough by now,
It's missed.
it's obviously
And
missed.
you know what he gets? His veteran
Right.
ability.
So
is
veteran
ability is to get a
heroic,
momentous tackle.
Momentous tackle.
Well, we talked about that last night, didn't we?
Yes,
and
we
I've
did.
convinced you.
Now,
I nearly have. You're on the.
I'm on the road.
I've got further weight to add to that argument.
You should go through and explain because I'm going to
Okay.
not do it justice.
So one of the things we talked about, and I don't think it was necessarily covered directly, but I know Jamie and I have talked about it many times, that missed change, whilst subtle, removing a momentous result from a tackle result, there's the obvious repercussions that he needs an additional momentum in order to score a goal, additional influence to score a goal. So if you just look at that, just in isolation, it goes from needing 3 influence to score a goal to probably 4 influence to score a goal. And this is on a first activation within a turn. That shift, if you look at it in a different way, okay, one additional influence that he doesn't bring needs to come from somewhere else. On average, most teams have a 10 or 11, maybe 12 influence pool. So you're looking at an almost 10% swing in terms of power curve just by taking away the momentum off of that one result. And that is the change that the guys have made, and that is why that they have done that, and that is why it's a significant change for Miss. Although on the face of it, it looks quite a subtle change. It's actually a 10% swing
to the team.
to the team. Yeah. So that's.
And,
I mean,
and
we
the
talked
point
about it over dinner.
and the point I keep coming back to that you, not saying good or bad point, but the point I keep coming back to is when you pointed out to me, he's only bringing 2.
Right.
If
So
he
it's
brought
already
3,
greedy.
Right. So, well, that's what you were saying is only bringing 2 and now needing 3 or 4 makes him greedy.
Yeah.
Makes him a greedy player instead of not a greedy player.
And this is the other thing. So it's a bit like how we balance. There's no points in Guild Ball. How we balance it isn't necessarily the power curve of what you put in. It's what you can't put in because you run out of slots. And it's exactly the same with Mist, that brings 2, costs 4. Well, that 2's got to come from somewhere else.
Right.
So you're devaluing someone else elsewhere in the team by two influence is a long way.
So, and part of the reason for me it's still hard to come all the way around on that is I get it. I get that. I even get, and I don't think I've said, did I say this on the recording? We'll find out. I even understand the whining and crying about his threat range.
Yeah.
Right? That was the big whining and crying I got all the pushback on, was he's got this massive threat range to come running in, steal the ball from you from such a distance away, and even Flint and everybody else doesn't have that. I understand those arguments. So now it comes back to being very careful about what I was saying. When I needed to make a goal, I always gave Mist 4. So I was always playing him greedy.
Sure.
Right? So the difference, that's
no,
and again,
so
that goes
you're
back
saying
to
the
why
net
I
result
feel,
is no different.
Right.
And that's fair.
And I get it, right? I could have been playing closer to the line and only giving him 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw it in my game against Jamie. When I absolutely was planning on making a goal, I gave him 4. When I thought there was a chance he would make a goal, but I wasn't sure, I gave him 3 anyways.
That's weird,
so
though, right?
Because
if there's a chance he could make a goal, but you're not sure, surely that's the point you give him 4, because it gives you your contingency.
So when I'm saying if there's a chance he'll make a goal, but I'm not sure, what I mean is the ball is somewhere else on the field. I don't even know if I'm going to get the ball to him.
By the time you get to Mist activation, the ball may have moved.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not activating Mist
how many
first,
times
I'm
have
not
you given
going-
Mist 4 and he has scored a goal and left you with 1 left?
Often.
Right,
Often.
and that's wasted influence, and
Yes.
that for me
Yep.
is just so big.
But funny enough, I build that into my contingency about how
that's
I
fine.
play my team,
Yeah.
which is why I say for me it's not a huge difference, because I would rather have that influence in there in case something went wrong and I had to make the second attack. And
No,
make
I mean,
that-
but this is that risk management.
We had this discussion for a different reason after mine and Bill's game, which was
Right.
to do with why Obulus was alive. So
Right.
the first time that Blackheart came in on Obulus, he had the full 6. He couldn't have had any more influence because he didn't. He had to be the first activation, so he couldn't bag of coffers him.
Yeah.
I
and he
can't
left.
bag a cover some anyways.
Of course you can't, sorry. And, so he left him on 3 boxes, but he couldn't physically have put any more into him. That's everything he had. The next turn, Obulus started the turn on 7 boxes.
Yes.
And he put 4 influence into Blackheart. And I'm looking at that going, 4 probably kills him. 4 fairly reasonably kills him.
Yeah.
But if it's Obulus, right, and it's a captain for a start, so that's probably going to make it at least 5 influence. So that you account for a fluff. You account for a
You've got to have 1. Right.
Because it's Obulus, and Obulus is so reliant, the morticians are so reliant on Obulus, he has to go down, so it has to be 6. And you just accept that you might waste 1 or 2, because you're going to get Obulus.
So I've been thinking about that, and what's amusing, now here's the humor, or the ironic part of that.
Sure.
For me, in my experience, Gutter and Blackheart are so damn reliable when I play them.
Yep.
That I don't even think about padding.
Yeah.
Like it's not even in my thought process to go through what you just do and go, well, I might screw up. No, it's not even a thought for me. If he's going to charge, and that's what I looked at, he's going to charge. Because I'm going to charge, he's so reliable in my experience playing him that I don't even have to worry about this. Put 4, move on. Where else do I put the rest of my influence?
Yeah.
Where my goal shots with Mist, otherwise if I have to go grab the ball or whatever, I'm always way more nervous with those. So I'm like, okay, with that I gotta play and pad up. The other thing I think comes from, you saw my this was my competitive union list, minus my swap outs. And I have backups to my beaters. Like my brute squad is a brute squad. It operates and they can back each other up and they can deal damage. Where Mist and Hemlock in this case are my grab the ball, go shoot. They're the ones that I have to worry about really screwing up because I have no backup for them. Once they commit, they have to be able to deliver what I have them on the field for.
Yeah. No, I mean, that is the delicious decision, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you could get Mist to score a goal with 3 influence, then that influence that you save could go somewhere else.
Yes.
The fact that you have to give it 4,
Him.
Man, she is a she, right?
Okay.
Everybody seems to think so.
Everybody seems to think so. And then the other part, I had a great Masons game earlier today with Decimate.
Yeah.
And I kept saying she, and everybody went, who?
Yeah.
Who? She. Decimate.
Those
It's
two
a him.
things.
That's a guy. That's not...
Dismay is a girl.
So the thing about the Mist discussion that I keep coming back to, and it may not have been as conscious as the influence angle of it, is that really where I see the Mist change sort of coming into play philosophically is that it sort of pegs Mist as a second striker on every team that can take him. With the introduction of Bonesaw.
Right.
And the fact that now, because that was one of the, if you could ever really afford the influence to do it, and I tried it a few times, it never really worked out well. But, for instance, like with the Masons, when you could run Flint on one side, Mist on the other, and Honor up the middle.
Love that lineup.
That's so good.
I know you do.
I love that lineup.
But the problem is that you've got effectively 3 first choice strikers covering the board,
and they're all greedy.
and you've taken the ability to get a safe dump of a goal kick.
That's
away
quite
from
funny
your
to an
opponent.
English
So
person.
I've played against that team, and it's a good team.
Can we just go back to the safe place to take a dump?
No,
That one's
it
for
means
Steve.
It means the same thing here.
No such thing. There's no such thing.
No, but so it does. And the one thing that I will say about that change, if you kind of look at it as making Mist not a first choice striker for every team you can play on, because that does have some benefit in sort of slotting players into roles and dictating certain outcomes on the field. I would say the one place where that does have a more profound impact, and one place where I didn't give Bill's position on the errata discussion enough credit, is I do think that is the one errata change that maybe hurts the Union as a team, whereas it's a very slight impact on teams Mist plays for, but not having that equivalent striker on the Union team anymore does impact them somewhat, especially since their other striker choices
I have to be,
are inherently. I mean, Snakeskin and Decimate and Hemlock and who am I missing?
And that's where
they're all
right.
decent kickers, but it has sort of taken the Union and said you're not going to be as good of a football team as you were, while everybody else can kind of look at Mist as exactly the same player he always was. Maybe change when in the turn he activates. I think Union it does sort of change the math on Union more than it changed the math on other people.
I don't think I'd agree with that. You're still... Because an influence taken away from Union is the same as an influence taken away from a Butcher's team. Well, not a Butcher's team, because Mist doesn't play for that team, but an influence taken from one team is the same as an influence taken away from another team. Especially
Except that in the Union, I can play a very Alchemist-esque kicking team. Mm-hmm. Butchers, I can't.
No, but I said it was a bad example because Mist can't play on the Butcher's team. But what I'm saying is, like, for most teams, sort of the average amount of influence generated is 12, and there's not many teams. There's some that are above and below that. There's not a huge difference in that. So an influence point taken from one team is, to me, the same as an influence point taken from another.
Well, I think a better example or a better way to describe the issue is that all these other teams still have the ability to take the ball and get momentum.
Mm-hmm. With other players.
With other players.
Yeah.
And it's a very subtle difference. I don't think it is affecting outcomes greatly on the part of the Union.
I mean, no,
but it is a I think that in that one very small, very slight case, that argument that the Union have lost a thing that is not ubiquitous but common, I think the alchemists probably will shake their head and wonder what the big deal is. But
except I don't think the Alchemists can, because the Alchemists have Midas. And it actually, I hate saying that because it really draws focus onto where Midas sits in the curve. But, okay, great. They don't have the ability to do a one success momentous tackle on pure alchemists, but they also have Midas who can generate 11 momentum off of an activation. I think it's 11. So I mean that Midas swings that discussion a fair bit, which was when I was originally looking at everything.
So
Midas
I'm
breaks a lot
going
of
to go out and do
discussion.
something I don't do very often, which is make a bold sweeping statement, which is that
This.
to say that I think that all the points you're making regarding Mist and the teams that he affects, and particularly the Union, are true. What you're saying is it does affect the teams in the ways that you're describing. I'm not countering that. What I'm saying, in my opinion, is that, and in the vast opinion of the playtesters, is that the changes that were made were necessary. So even if at the moment Guild Ball isn't old enough yet to have these big, massive, huge World Championship style events. But what I'm going to go out on a limb and say is that the playtest teams that we have are extremely good players. Like all of them, including the external playtest groups as well, are very good players of Guild Ball. And that with the vast number of games that we've played, I would say that if we look at the term metagame, which is a term that some people like to talk about, well, let's say sort of the international metagame is still quite young. Guild Ball's been out for over 6 months now, but the playtesters have probably been playing this absolutely solidly for a year. So we are, by that measure, at least 6 months ahead of everybody else. I would say we're probably further, but roughly 6 months. So the changes we've made sometimes are for issues that are not necessarily present or clear right now.
We're heading off from the past.
I don't really feel the need to talk about them because they don't exist anymore.
Right.
But there are changes that we've seen and that we were concerned about that we have tried to prevent. Nip in the bud.
I mean, the ultimate goal at the very underlying structure of this is a model should not be an auto-include unless it's stave. No, for a union model especially, should not be an auto-include into a guild. It needs to be a choice, and it has to be a choice. And it might be a slightly skewed choice, and it might be a slightly obvious choice, but it can't be a no choice. Like, you always put this model in, and that's the goal.
I will say that the missed change brought better balance to 3 of 4 teams in the conversation.
I think so.
It's just that one. And it was an impossible. It was going to be impossible to sort of fix him in 3 and leave him unchanged in 1.
Yeah, I was having a chat with someone today about the problems that you have when you're trying to balance the Merc faction, and it's really hard. It's really, really hard, and at the moment, what we have in Guild Ball is the union models are balanced largely against the teams that they can go in. Do you think that's fair to say? By and large, we make sure that they don't break or get too far ahead of existing guild models.
I think they're on a. I think.
We need to
I'm trying to think of an analogy.
They need to be on parity with.
I don't think that we think of the other teams first. I don't want to go out and say that because that's going to upset people, and it's not the truth. I don't think that we think about other guilds first. We do consider the union as well, but a truth of playtesting that union models is they do just take more time. They take at least twice as many games to playtest because we have to consider the other guilds.
And here's the issue with balancing them is, think of the most broken way of using it. That's the point where we need to balance.
Yeah, it's benchmarks,
and everything after that. That's the pinnacle by definition. Everything after that is then below the curve. Whether you like it or not, right? Is below the curve. So finding what that broken point is, and then balancing to that broken point,
working backwards.
And for
me, I think what you guys screwed up was by making the union cool. Like, when you look at mercs and you look at minions, they kind of suck. So nobody really wants to play them.
So minions. My gators are amazing. Every single model converted. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't envy you and I think it's one of the reasons why. The 2 things I'll say about this. One, that's one of the reasons I am passionate about talking about the changes to so many union models is because union is right now probably my favorite team. Now,
that's fair.
The other thing is, I mean, I'll go back and I want to be clear because I've even heard it a bit tonight. I got razzed about it all last night at dinner. And at the end of the day, want to keep coming back and being clear on the same thing. My biggest complaints are, I don't think this was necessary. This doesn't change the way I'm playing. If that's the complaint about an errata,
That's not bad.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd say that's a success.
Yeah.
If you're not noticing it, that's fine. And I'll go back to my earlier point, which is that if there are issues that haven't yet appeared, people haven't noticed them, then the job has been fine.
Right.
And if you haven't noticed the changes, excellent. Job complete.
And
minimal disruption to the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minimal disruption. We would err on the side of not nerfing enough,
Right.
but adjusting the power curve rather than nerfing someone into the ground and then you no longer, you don't want to play them anymore.
So are you pleased with the enthusiasm and the reception for the game here at this event?
Absolutely.
Oh God, yeah,
It's been great.
That's been brilliant.
I was a little bit worried that we wouldn't get close enough to the 32 when we filled up the 16-player event, and I was like, I don't know. We need at least 3 or 4 people to join the B event, so that people tend to join events that there's already players in, don't they? Because no one wants to buy an event where there's 3 people. And as soon as we started getting 3 or 4 people, I was like, ooh, this is good. Which just means, and we had that about 2 weeks out, and then suddenly, I think for the next week and a half, we got a person every day or a person every other day, and we're now at a point where we've got about 5 or 6 slots left, and there are definitely 3 or 4 people downstairs who I need to sign
today,
up.
right?
Yeah, so we're going to be very close at 32, which is fantastic. We said before we've got so many people coming in for demo games and just wanting to come in and talk about the game, and it's been great. It's been fantastic, and. We've probably had some guys come in and talk about trade stuff as well. I don't know if I'm kind of erring the people to talk to you about distribution and stuff.
Oh yeah, really good conversations. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how many times somebody's just stopped me in the hallway because I'm wearing a Guild Ball related shirt, and has just been wanting to talk about Guild Ball. They don't know anything about it, or they do know something about it, but they just want to talk about it.
And they've heard about it.
Yeah,
They've heard about it.
They've heard about it.
Yeah.
So what surprised you? Knowing that we're only about halfway through the weekend,
That's a good question.
what has surprised you?
Well, the thing for me, that's probably a better question for Matt, because I've been to this convention twice before, but not for Guild Ball. So I know a lot of these people here, I know what the kind of community is like already, and I know how great everybody is. So this is stuff that's fantastic, but I've seen this kind of buzz in the play people before, even though it's different people.
Pleasantly surprised. Actually, I shouldn't even be surprised. Okay, I've travelled to the States a lot. Okay, I've travelled to the West Coast and the East Coast. I've never been in the middle. And in the middle is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But there's this
I've never heard a British person say "America" so many times.
I love America. But what I love is how friendly everyone is, how enthusiastic everyone is about everything they do. Like ordering a sandwich, they just love ordering a sandwich, right? It's not like in England where you're like, why are you asking me all this stuff? Leave me alone. Actually, I've been a bit like that. I admit that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's in your
The other thing that's surprising is how many questions they ask you to order a damn sandwich. Right? Seriously, right? Do you want a baguette to go with your sandwich? No, I don't want a baguette to go with my sandwich. I've already ordered a sandwich. I have enough bread.
Would you like a cookie? Yes. What kind of cookie?
I'll take the apple. Honestly, what is the lowest amount of information I need to give you to just give me food?
Do you want a red or a green apple?
I love the fact that Matt gets to lunch today and had somebody else order for him.
Yes.
He looked at the menu and went, what'd you say? I will eat anything on the menu if
We'll just give you
nobody
money.
asks me questions.
Yeah.
Even then, they still ask me questions. You want a prawn burrito? Is that tempura or like normal prawns? I'll have normal. Okay. And then I said I'll have a taco, and they're like, "What one? Prawn one? Do you want tempura prawns?" I didn't have tempura last time. I pretty much don't want tempura again because I don't know what it is.
Well, you caught her out because she asked you if you wanted this particular sort of sauce thing was on it, and then you threw one back at her, which she wasn't expecting. You went, "Well, do most people have that?" And she sort of went, "You've asked me a question. I don't." Yes. That's normal. Okay.
Okay, sure, I'll have it. The other thing that's surprising...
It was kind of like, what do you think is the wingspan of an African swallow? That's what I was thinking of at the time.
The other thing, right? Don't serve ale at freezing temperature. It makes no sense. It's crazy. That's surprising.
No comment.
From the whole weekend.
We
Real
tried to
ale,
explain that
room
to you.
temperature. Ask Steve.
All right, very good.
So let's kick off with, as I said, the best goal. Matt's been walking around looking at different custom goal designs we've all made, and it was a pretty tough choice. There's a choice that came in close second. We're not going to get anything for it, but we get an honourable mention. Is Jason Tate with his multi-position goal. The one going to take best goal today is going to be Jeff White and his Union goal. Next award is going to be for the best painted guild, best painted team. You know, this is between the two events, so it's one best painted award overall. That's going to be for Alex Haig and his Brewers. Nice. Oh yeah. Trophy.
It's a fish.
Good job, man. Okay, now can we get the stand-ins up for A, please? All right. So the first thing we're going to do is go to last place, because there's got to be a wooden spoon affair of some description, which is Ellie Elder is the for the last place.
Yeah!
No, it's Ellie. In all honesty, that became my nickname at school because that happens.
I do apologise. But you get to choose for a new guild.
That's pretty good. I'm down with it. When the fish miss, start for brew.
And for the
Eli, good job on showing up.
And for the wooden spoon for the B bracket, picking up another brand new guild to start with, was Doug Shannon.
Thank you very much. I'll try not to break all these in the first game. No worries.
Okay, so let's move on to the actual standings, first, second, and third. We're going to do first, second, and third for both brackets, and you're going to get some Steamforge sort of credits to spend in the Steamforge store. I think it's £20, £30, and £50 respectively. So, which bracket have we got first? A bracket. Let's start off with the A bracket. In third place, we have Jeff Crouch with his Morticians.
There you go, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. In second place in the A bracket, we have Zach Stein with his Alchemists.
Second place. There you go, sir.
Thank you. And in first place in the A bracket, we have Matthew Lust with his Fisherman. In third position, after 3 rounds, we have William Hartman and his Morticians.
Thank you.
Not broken at all.
No.
No, not at all. I mean, definitely not. No. Third. I mean, so in second place, we're going to have Jeff White and his Union.
There you go.
Thank you. And you get to take one of yours. And in first place, with his Brewers, Dan Salmons. So thanks for coming. I hope you've all had a fantastic time, and hope to see you again.
All right, so I definitely want to take this opportunity to say a few thank yous for the weekend. First and foremost, I think to Carl Morgan and everyone who put together War Machine Weekend and gave us the space and the opportunity to head up to St. Louis and to show off our game to so many people and to meet so many people who are already playing our game and to have just a genuinely awesome time. It was one of the best weekends of gaming that I've had in ages, if not ever, and it's definitely a credit to the people who run the show and everyone who comes to it. We also definitely need to thank the other pundits who came out to the event. Tulsi, who is, very clean. He and James, and James is the kind of guy who will definitely take down your Christmas lights. Those two guys were dug in with us, doing demos all weekend long. No end to their patience with new players, their willingness to drop everything to support the game and to to be really great guys to hang out with. So that was it was a real privilege to hang out with them. And then on Sunday of the event, we had Ernest and Justin who came out and helped us immensely. I know Ernest was just a demo game trooper. Gave up his seat in the event itself to run demo games, which was awesome, and definitely appreciated by one and all of us. And Justin, who was so much help with me setting up tables and getting everything out and ready to go. All four of you guys are a credit to our little gang, and we were very, very appreciative of everyone being there. Now, I also want to thank everybody who played in the St. Louis Open, of course. The attendees of the first sanctioned U.S. event. Hopefully, each and every one of you will be at the next sanctioned U.S. event down the road. So, additionally, we met so many cool people, but I would like to say a specific thank you to John and Lance from Muse on Minis, who, they've done so much for Guild Ball already, but to come along and just be, really cool guys to hang out with and to meet and to talk to and even play some Guild Ball with was really nice. We can't not thank Matt and Jamie for going through all the trouble of flying over, right? Those guys are both great fun to hang out with, certainly deserve an award for spending so much time hanging out with me over the weekend. and lastly, we want to thank just the whole War Machine weekend crowd. Everybody was so genuinely enthusiastic for the game. We had lots of people who had already heard of it, lots of people who had never heard of it. No one had a bad thing to say to us or a side eye to give us, and I think we made a lot of friends, and hopefully also made a lot of Guild Ball players. So just overall, definitely thanks to everyone, all those and more. And if I had more time, I'm sure that this list would be even longer. So let's go ahead and move on to our next item of notes here, and that is for U.S. pundits. We have now in my possession a set of 8 mats and accompanying terrain, which we are going to be able to use for sanctioned events in the U.S. I know I was kind of teasing this a little bit in the last show. Didn't want to say anything until the stuff had actually made it over, but Rich had an idea for leaving behind some of the stuff that was brought to the St. Louis Open to help support the game over here. So if you are a pundit and you do have a sanctioned event coming up or at some point in the future, go ahead and feel free to reach out to myself or somebody at Steamforged, and we will sort out where the mats happen to be at that point. And because I do anticipate them doing more than a bit of traveling and only filling up the space on my dining room table for a few more weeks, as I think they're probably off to DC next before making their way back down here in March, and then to anywhere else after that. So if you do get a sanctioned event and you're not sure that you've got enough mats and terrain to set it up and to do it right, just like I said, get a hold of us, and we will work out the details of mailing these things around this country of ours. So I guess we're not actually going to do feedback this week. We had intended, this is where I get to fall back into story time mode. We'd intended to do a do more of a live show at the St. Louis Open, where maybe we would try to follow kind of our normal, news, features, feedback format. Maybe with an audience, maybe just with Bill and I in the same room for a novelty. But what ended up happening was that on Saturday, when we were supposed to have done that, there were so many people who wanted to do demo matches that we just ultimately decided not to break that up, for us to run off to do a podcast when people wanted to see the game wasn't necessarily the best thing for any of us. So we just sort of demoed through our time slot, and then ultimately just before dinner came around, Matt and Jamie and Bill and I did find the time to record the conversation that you just heard earlier in the show here. But along the way, earlier that morning, I had collected a stack of audience questions on index cards. So, assuming I can find those in my luggage, I'm going to make an effort to get more of those answered in the next show. But I think you'll understand that the priority fell to getting people playing the game, and rather than just trying to do a specific format of show for this show. So we should have that, and then our normal cavalcade of fun and adventures in a couple of weeks on the next episode of Guild Ball Tonight. Good night, everybody.
Knees up. Watch the knives. To join the conversation, comment on the show post at guildballtonight.com or email us at guildballtonight@gmail.com. Phil can also be heard on the Game Punting podcast. Bill can also be heard on the Gamers Lounge podcast. Check them out on iTunes.
Also, feel free to give us 5 stars on iTunes. Every little bit helps. But when you do, don't write a review of the show. No. Instead, just tell everybody why you love Flint so very much. The following events are all coming shortly. The WCWW Winter Wreath in Stockton, UK, December 12th, 2015. More information on the Guild Ball forums. I Shoot Better After a Beer in Taunton, UK, on January 31st, 2016. More information in the Guild Ball forums. And Crucible Orlando in Orlando, Florida, March 12th and 13th, 2016. More information in the Guild Ball forums. If you'd like us to mention an event near you, drop us an email at guildballtonight@gmail.com with the information on what, when, where, and how to get more information, and we will include it. And now for this week's edition of the Guild Ball Club Roundup. To get your club included in this list, send us an email at guildballtonight@gmail.com. Include the name, location, and best contact method, and we'll get you in the next show. You'll need to resubmit your club about every 3 episodes, so keep that in mind. Armada Games in Tampa, Florida. Find them at armadagames.com. South London Wargamers in London, UK. Find them at slwargamers.club. Chelmsford Bunker in Chelmsford, UK. Leeds Night Owls in Leeds, UK. Find those two on Google. 1066 Wargaming in Hastings, UK. Capital Guild Ball at Dream Wizards in Rockville, Maryland. 2-6 Wargaming in Cambridge, UK. Warhammer Gaming Club in Sunderland, UK. Siege Tabletop in Beverly, UK. Sheffield and Rotherham Games Club in Sheffield, UK. Group North Wargaming Society in Adelaide, Australia. War and Peace Gaming Club in Sandy Acre, UK. Outpost in Sheffield, UK. Dark Worlds Gaming Society in Fareham, UK. The Dice Saloon in Brighton, UK. Colorado Guild Ball Facebook Group in Denver, Colorado. Our House Games in Monroe, Michigan. And the Middlesbrough Gaming Club in Middlesbrough, UK. Find all of those on Facebook. It is time once again for another installment of Ox's Poetry Corner.
Hickory dickory. Wait, they let these guys do 25 of these?
Alright, so you guys like...
Easy for you to say.
Easy.
I'll take
2. Alright, so you guys good?
So,
You say it.
you guys having a good time this weekend?
No, it's rubbish. I was waiting for him to get the line out right.
Oh, man. Great.
Perfect. Well, I mean...
Go on, Phil. Let's get the line.
Alright.
Let's just keep rolling with it.
So, you guys...
That's one for the outtakes.